baby. When you hear that intro music, you know you made it to Thursday. This is our time to rock and roll. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. You already see who the guest is in the middle of the screen. Many of you know him from social media. Some of you guys know him from his playing days. We've had some amazing shows over the last couple Thursdays. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. I'm your host, Coach Wood. To my far right is my boy who holds me down every Thursday. What's going on, Q?
Hey man, we got a Jayhawk on with us. I'm happy. That's all I got to say. It's
Yes, indeed. Yes,
real
indeed,
simple.
we do. We do. And you guys, I'm lucky enough to say that this gentleman has become a dear friend of mine. It is definitely Rock Chalk tonight. We're talking about none other than the great Daymond Patterson. Many of you guys know this from his playing days, what he was doing on the field in Texas. But now he's doing huge things, you guys, as a trainer, as someone that is helping the youth, as someone that is training all of the dogs coming out of that Dallas Fort Worth area. And you guys know there are plenty of them. He's put in the time himself, and now he's giving back, you guys. He's giving back to that next generation, the next up, and he's doing a fabulous job. So I would love to introduce none other than the great Daymond Patterson. What's going on, DP?
Man, I appreciate y'all for having me on. I'm excited to be on. It's always a good time getting on with you two, chopping it up about ball, life, things going on in the real world, things going on in sports. And thank you once again for having me on. And I'm ready to rock and roll.
For sure.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Definitely,
indeed, you
man.
guys. So, hey, we're pumped up to have DP on. And you've had him on before. He killed it, you guys. And we're going to get into his journey because his journey is unique. But we're also going to do something special. We're going to do something special at the end. You got the TRPT. That's his company. His company is doing something new on the client management side, the athlete management side. NIL is huge. We want to always make sure that our audience is caught up to date, you guys. So no lightning round, no Q&A section. It's all about the game that TRPT is going to give us at the end of the show. So rock with us all the way to the end, you guys, and excited to have you. So let's get right into it, man. The ticker shows all of the topics for tonight's show. Once again, we're getting into it with the great Daymond Patterson. The first thing I want to talk about, DP, is the pivotal decision, man, to go from Texas to Lawrence, Kansas. How does one make that decision, and what were the key factors?
Um, well, it wasn't as crazy as many people think. Um, I was born in Topeka, Kansas. So that's only 25 minutes or so from Lawrence. I wanted to originally go to Texas Tech. That was my dream school. I
Mm.
got up to Tech and didn't like the environment. I really didn't like the feel. It just didn't. There was nothing out there at that point. They didn't have the new weight room at that point. Um, and I was just like, man, this is where I want to go. It just doesn't feel right. So I knew if I didn't like Tech, I had opportunity to go to Kansas. They were throwing the ball just like Tech, not as much as Tech because nobody's throwing as much as Tech except for maybe Hawaii. Excuse
Right.
me. And then, but Kansas was throwing it all over the field. I knew I was going to have opportunity to go play wide receiver immediately. Then I knew I was going to have a chance to go start immediately at punt return. So I had family around, and I was going to get playing time immediately. Back then, TCU was still in the Mountain West. Baylor had won 2 games in like 2 years. Nebraska wanted me, but they weren't. They still don't throw the ball, but they were running the ball every play.
Mhm.
Wisconsin was running the ball every play. I had an Army, Navy, Air Force. I'm not going to any of the military schools. Like that's cool for the people that do. I just knew that wasn't my lane. So it was an easy decision, especially for me, knowing I wanted playing time. I was looking at offenses. I had Florida writing me handwritten letters that were really, really interested, but I wanted to go to a place that fit me, where I felt comfortable and where I was going to play immediately.
Yeah.
And with family being in Topeka and then on the other side, another 20, 25 minutes for later, they could come see me play. I didn't have to ever do my laundry. My aunt worked in Lawrence. She picked it up like every Sunday, drop it off every Tuesday.
Nice.
My 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 granny's making home cooked meals literally every weekend. I'm getting food sent down. So it was just an easy decision to make at that point, family and football wise.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you can't beat that. And some of you guys wonder why did that kid choose that school? But little do you know the story behind it. And thank you for sharing that because you did have some options, but it sounds like you made the right one. We got some people joining us, and we want to shout them out. The great Terrell Gray said, "What's the word? Can't see the feed. You might be on your phone, so but we see you, Terrell. Man, thank you for rocking with us. Gonna have your son on next week, so that's gonna be a huge
Definitely.
show.
It's gonna be fun.
Mother-in-law always coming through and kicking the door down, checking in from Denver. She loves some football, so you know she's gonna come through. The great Coach Hughes. Game is up, fellas. I love it. And then, of course, we got the great Jimmy Rucker. We love Coach Jimmy Rucker, and he's coming through. So what's good,
Big
locker
Jimmy.
room? So, hey, thank you guys for rocking with us. And we got a Texas legend in the house, and he's cranking them out, you guys. So we're gonna get into that too. On to the next topic, man. And this one was interesting. The kids use the term crash out, Q. And that means when somebody's had it, man, they threw. And the infamous crash out was, of course, Antonio Brown. And sometimes kids crash out and they want to jump into the portal. And, I'm doing my research, getting ready for tonight, Daymond, and I came across this. And it said, Patterson no longer disgruntled. So obviously that means that there was a point in time that you weren't feeling people in Kansas. And I want to ask you, man, if a kid is in your position this fall, he thought he was going to be starting, put in the work, and he's on the second string, third string. What's the best way to handle things when you're disgruntled?
The biggest thing kids don't do nowadays is talk with their parents and their coaches. They just make irrational decisions just because they're emotional at the time. I don't care about the decision you make as long as it's thoughtful, right? You got to think it through. Oh, I'm not playing, I'm leaving. Okay. Well, why weren't you playing? Was it because the coach didn't like you? Was it because you were slow? Was it because you weren't productive? And a lot of kids don't think that through. They don't talk over with their coach. They don't talk with their parents or people that they trust. So my disgruntledness was a little different, right? Because I was in a position that many people will not be in at the college level. And that's because I was starting at wide receiver. Then I started corner. Then I was going back to wide receiver. So, right, most people aren't able to play both sides at the college level. So I was starting here. Then I started on the other side, but I was like, I'm a receiver and I don't want to play corner anymore. So that was mine. It wasn't never playing time. I started every game I was healthy for at receiver, corner, or as well as punt return. It was just like, hey guys, like the last coaching staff moved me to corner. And I'm actually was our number one corner at the time, but that's not where I want to be. So it was a good problem to have, I guess, if you're looking at it from my standpoint, to even have the ability to come in and play two sides of the ball, especially in the Big 12 when we had legitimate Texas and OU and Sam Bradford and Colt McCoy's, Crabtree's, the real Big 12, like, that we talk about back in the day. So it was a good problem to have, but it wasn't me being disgruntled. It was just more of like, guys, I know what I'm good at. I know what I came here to do. That old coaching staff is done, and we got to, make a play to get me back on the other side of the ball. And a lot of people know I wanted to play receiver again, and we were able to get me back on the wide receiver side, and we were rocking and rolling. So it was never anything more than with playing time or what most guys go through is, hey, I know I can play both sides of the ball. This is where I want to be at.
Right.
Yeah. So you say just better communication is one thing. Okay.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing is because there's not even really anything else you can do is because you got to communicate to see what's going on, why you're not playing. Because if you don't do that, you then go to the next school and you don't even know the reason why coach wasn't playing you is because you just can't get in and out of breaks or you're just don't show up to meetings on time, or at least when you're leaving, know what you were doing wrong here so you don't do it there. Because if you go actually watch a lot of the guys that are disgruntled guys that jump into the portal, they don't play at the next school. Most of the guys that go play at the next school are actually the guys that did good at their school, jump in the portal, and then just go do good at another school. It's really not the guy that's, oh, they weren't playing me. Like Joe Burrow, of course, that's a quarterback, but that's one. But then you start looking at other guys like Judkins. He was the leading rusher at Ole Miss and the SEC. You go see Gibbs when he went to Alabama, leading rusher in the ACC. When you go see a guy like Jameson Williams, like he's a dog and they're going. So most guys, I tell them, usually you're not going to play if you're not playing here at most schools, unless you kind of go down a level. And the reason why I say that is I had 3 different head coaches at KU. And would you believe it? Every guy that started for Mangino started for Gill. And every guy that started for Gill started for Weiss. We had like 2 guys get into the starting lineup. So we got all these different coaches and the same guys start for everybody. So the same guys can't, it's not favoritism across the board. It's usually the guys that are producing, regardless if you're winning games or not, they're sitting there watching practice. And these coaches are getting paid $3, $5, $10, $11 million a year, and they like their money. So they're not just playing a guy because he thinks, oh, that guy is a good kid. Like, no, these coaches will let guys that doing some crazy things get on the field if it's going to keep that job and that money rolling. Yeah. So I tell guys all the time, you got to figure out before you dip or while you're there being mad and stay, go have a conversation with the coach and get a perspective, regardless if you feel it's right or wrong. Figure out what they're seeing to keep you off the field. So if you do leave, hey, he's saying this, I'm going to make sure I'm not doing that at this school. So now they shouldn't have an excuse to keep me off the field.
That's big right there. Q, I mean, you went from having a great junior year, man, and thinking it was about to be sweet, you know, and then senior year didn't end up being sweet for you. How do we prevent the crash out? How do we prevent, maybe coaches going off on us on the sideline and you want to lash back? How do we prevent that type of thing, Q?
I mean, it's one of those things where, man, I always tell a lot of kids, man, make sure sometimes it's not in regards to on the field, it's making sure, you make the good decisions off the field. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of guys, man, to get, man, even myself, man, wrong place, wrong time. And, man, it can severely affect you, especially if you might not have a great relationship with your position coach or with the head coach or whatever, but you a dog, so they got to put you out there. It was more along the lines, my, situation, because I didn't get recruit. Like I was playing for coaches that didn't recruit me, obviously. So it was one of those things. If you a dog and do what you need to do on the field, but it might be where they have you with a short leash as well, and kind of, what should I say? If you do make any mistakes off the field, they'll be ready to, to severely affect your your career, which was kind of along the lines of what I did. My question to you is, Daymond, actually, with your situation playing both sides of the ball, because that happened to me as well when I first got to Kansas, got moved to receiver, is if they would have kept you at corner, because I look at it like from a coaching standpoint, if I have a kid that's that talented, if I would have came to you, and answer this, however you see fit. If I would have came to you, right, and I would have been like, hey, we're going to keep you at corner, but we'll make sure to put you in enough packages where you'll get enough touches to keep you happy, would you have been okay with that?
Definitely. I actually wanted to play both ways. I did it in high school.
Right.
I excelled at high school. Yeah, I had the stamina to do it in college. It's Travis Hunter, what he did was, amazing. But I tell people, when you work and you do the things at a high level that I was able to do, from the weight room to, the conditioning, I broke the records at KU in the conditioning. I was 157 as a freshman, and when I was starting both ways, but I was squatting 450 at 157. Wow. I was like, I said, I came in like as a dog. So I told people I have no problem playing corner, but I want to play receiver too. So that was my thing, is let me get back where I'm natural at and excel at that. And I'll still, I'll start corner and come in on packages. I don't got no problem not being in on every run play.
That's what I don't understand, though. I guess, man, because that's what I would, when I have a kid like that, right? And here's the thing about it that people don't understand. It's folks, when we talk about a kid like Daymond, or we talking about a Ted Ginn Jr., we've seen guys, or Chris Gamble, we've seen guys be able to do it before. It's just that Deion let Travis do it how he did it. But make no mistake, it's dudes out there that can do everything that Travis did on both sides. It's a matter of if the kid conditioning can hold up, and does he have the ability to do so, right? So like
100%.
Chad was trying to say,
is he willing?
Chad was getting a gang of snaps.
And is he willing too? Because they had Jamar Chase, and they asked him, "Hey, could you do it?" And he said, "I'm not really willing to do it.
There you go. You go. But if you have a kid that's willing and has the ability, and no taking nothing away from Travis Hunter, but he's not the first, folks, by any means whatsoever. He's not the first. It's just that it's now, because we've seen him do it, now it's more of a thing, right? Now it's okay to let a kid do that. But it's been a gang of kids that were able to swing both sides, man, comfortably and dominate on either side. So that's me personally. That's something I would have did with you. Like, okay, I get it. We don't want to totally take the ball out your hand, but we need you on D. But we'll give you enough deep balls and reverses because you're a problem in space. We'll give you enough touches to keep you happy, but you'll still be on D. Problem solved. That way, Dennis not mad and everybody's happy, and we're still productive on both sides.
And I had brought that up. That was the thing for me. I was like, man, I'm gonna do whatever, because that's just how I was raised, and I'm able to do it outside of the line and then playing linebacker, you know what I mean, right, on defense. I was like, if you put me anywhere like that, I'm physically able to be there and match up with a guy, I have no problem. I would have played running back. I would have played out. I played inside and outside. When we were running 4 wide, I started in slot. When we went 2 wide, I was starting on the outside. I've been able to move back to a safety. Would it be but I'm not going to complain. I just want to play and give me opportunity to excel. And Travis was the first person in a long, long time that was off the leash. Even the other guys that we mentioned still had a leash on them to say you only get to do so much for me. Like, my first start was versus Texas Tech. I practiced 2 days. Tuesday, they were showing me the defenses, so that's really not a practice. Wednesday, I got to kind of go through them. Started versus Texas Tech, went crazy. Like, I was one of those guys. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to practice for 2 weeks and then we're going to. No, it was like, hey, come to defense on Tuesday, start on Saturday, and you already know shells on Thursday, walk through on Friday. So 2 practices and started. So I was one of those guys. Throw me out there. I know what I'm doing, and had one of my best games versus Texas Tech and Crabtree, and then the next game versus K-State. So it wasn't like I didn't know, what I was doing on either side. It wasn't like I couldn't pick up plays. I knew everything that the quarterbacks knew. I knew everything that the safeties and linebackers knew on defense. It's just about, is the coach willing to let you do it?
Right. And one more thing, too, again, especially in regards to Kansas, this is why I'm so confused. We can talk about this all day. But think about it, 15. They let Charles Gordon do it.
And Keith.
Both of them did it. Charles Gordon was out there killing boys on both sides. Killing. So, again, that would have been my problem solver. And coaches, if you're listening and you do have a kid that you see can swing it, let him swing it until you see if he's struggling conditioning-wise and starting to taper off from fatigue. But if they can do it, let a kid increase their value. God knows, especially if they're trying to get to the next level, let them do their thing, man.
Yeah, we'll probably see more of it. We're on to our next topic, you guys, and thank you for rocking with us. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about. This is the off season, but there is no off season in the locker room show. So on to our next topic, and we'll start with you on this one, Q. Breaking news, man. I think this was actually today, but Texas State has said, hey, we like the fact that the Pac-12 is trying to revive itself, and we see that Colorado State's going over there, and UNLV and Boise State in 2026. So we want to join the party. We want to join the party and keep the Pac-12 alive. So when I throw the ball to you, Q, the Pac-12 never died officially, but obviously we know that there's a Power 4. Do you see the Pac-12 making it a Power 5 again? anytime soon?
I mean, it's possible, man. I think what's going to determine that is if any of those teams out of that conference, if you can make it to the playoffs and actually do some damage in the playoffs. If you don't see that, then that's going to be a big question mark. Hey, was it a good idea even trying to breathe life back into the Pac-12? But if you start seeing, even if it's only, a team or two, but they are in the playoffs and they start knocking off teams from what you would call a quote-unquote Power 5, teams maybe they're not supposed to beat, and they start, really, man, go a ways into the playoffs, man, then it can put some serious legitimacy on the conference.
Okay, all right. Well, DP, I mean, talk to me, man. The new Pac-12 with Texas State not too far from you coming into it. When you look at the MAC conference, when you look at maybe the AAC, do you think the Pac-12 is better, or do you think that they got a ways to go?
They definitely have a ways to go. The problem is when you take out USC, UCLA, Oregon, schools like that out of there, that was, the blood and the lifeline. It's just tough because even if schools win, which they're just going to be kind of, playing each other, and then they'll maybe win the first round, but they won't get past the second round. Because the biggest thing is March Madness is different because everybody has a shooter's chance. Just like in boxing, you have a puncher's chance. Football, it just comes down to most times, especially in college, you're just not physical enough and you're not big enough, right?
Yeah.
You might catch a random Big 12 team slipping, but after you knock Arizona State off, now you got to see Ohio State, right? And the recruiting of the schools in the Pac-12 just won't be able to match, the recruiting of all the other schools. The school that has the best chance is actually Texas State. And the reason why I believe so is because they're the new SMU. They're in Texas. They have a real good young head coach, which is actually one of my really, really good friends, TJ Kinney. And he's been catching bounce backs since he was at Incarnate Word. So they're the school actually that would have an opportunity because it's like once SMU, remember when they went to the ACC, everybody's like, oh, but they're small. No, that just got the big recruits in Texas to say, well, now you're in a power conference.
Yeah.
We're more willing to go there.
Yeah.
Now that even though Texas State's been, in the Sun Belt, they've been able to get a lot of bounce backs and really good talent in Texas. Now you say, well, we're in the Pac-12, which is not the same by prestige, but it is the name. Some of those kids are going to be more willing to stay home than go in a little further out to schools. And so I actually think Texas State has a chance to make a lot of noise in that Pac-12 because you're in Texas, and he's already been getting a lot of bounce backs. He's deep into the portal. So I don't think the conference by prestige will ever really be back just because so much money is spread everywhere else. Name is still there, but it's just going to be too hard to compete with the Big Ten and the SEC because the ACC and the Big 12 are having a hard enough time rocking in the Power Four, let alone, this Pac-12 with a lot of lower level teams just making up, this conference.
Wow, that's a good point right there. And Q, what do you think? Do you see the Pac-12 coming back to prominence or not?
Nah, man. I agree with what my man said. It's just, man, the staple teams, the Oregons, the USC's, man. You gotta have those programs that that made the Pac-12 previously from that the Pac-10 what it was, man. So again. You will get, these teams will get a couple of guys, that were maybe a Power 4 teams, maybe gotten a little bit of off the field trouble or, maybe some real, some talented headaches that just ended up being, there or whatnot. And maybe, be competitive within the conference. But again, you get outside the parameters of that conference, man, in the playoffs, man, that's the rough house right there, dude. You don't want to, it's too many. There's too many other schools, man, that they are throwing around too big of bags, man, to get these 4- and 5-star killers to be able to compete like that.
100%, man. So, hey, we're going to keep it moving right there, but obviously we'll see. We'll see if the Pac-12 can bring it back. Daymond, I know you're working with a lot of athletes in your gyms. A lot of them want to go off and play college ball. They're going to these summer camps. Talk to me about the mindset for a kid that doesn't get the offer. Maybe he's working with you, working his tail off, but doesn't get the offer this summer. Where should his head be?
Man, I tell a lot of the kids that there's hope that guys like us didn't have. You can go to JUCO and they're trying to let you do 2 years of JUCO, not lose years. Now you're 35 when you're a senior going to college. And, like it's wild now. You go do 2 years of JUCO and then you go red shirt. Now you 21 and now you playing. So or you go to a smaller school. You might have wanted to go D1 or D1 AA. Go to a D2 and ball out. You're able to transfer on up. Like that's the thing
Yeah.
is it's opportunities out there that guys didn't have back in the day. So a lot of these kids understand that the transfer portal is taken away from the high school kids, but they're also understanding like, hey, it's fine. I'm gonna get bigger, stronger for a year, maybe two, and then shoot, I'm actually a better prospect now, and actually increase my
Mhm.
chances for some people to get ahead of where they would have been just because of instead of going to a school and actually maybe not being physically ready and having to transfer down because you just weren't getting on the field for the first couple of years and coach wanted you out of there. Now you get to go in at 20 years old, increase your
Yeah.
skills, and now it's like, hey, shoot, I actually got an opportunity to do something in this game. So it's not as bad as most people think it is if you're able to, maneuver it the right way, and especially with some of these kids like me coming in at 18, 157, but you're going against a 26-year-old nowadays compared
Right.
to the 22-year-old. So for some guys, it's not bad because you just literally your skills not lacking. You're just size,
Yeah.
that's keeping you back. So some of these guys that get to go to a JUCO because some of them with their grades or whatever it may be, or some of them choose to say, well, I'll go JUCO instead of going D2 so I don't lose a year. And then they go up, they ball, and they go instead of getting that Iowa State offer, they actually played their way into shoot a UT offer because they got a little bigger, stronger, faster, what the coach wanted. And then, they're at some better schools. And that's not everybody, obviously, everybody's situation. But for some of the guys that don't get offers, like there's still a reason to train, right? It's not the world is ending. Back in the day, it's like, oh, I'm going JUCO. And a lot of those guys were there just to die and you were losing years. Now, a lot of guys are like, it's fine. I understand the path and I'm willing to take it.
I love it right there. That's big time. Q, let's go on to the next topic so we can get a special guest on because this is usually our setup, but we got someone waiting to get on with us tonight, and he is a partner of Daymond's, and they're going to give you guys some sauce, man, about this new NIL era and brand management and just how you need to move because you guys are pros earlier now. So we got some great information coming to you. So Q, let's get to the next topic, man. Let's say I'm an athlete and now, my school can pay me because of the NCAA settlement. I'm in
Mhm.
Florida. And let's say I get a deal that coach or the GM slides across the table. How do I know if that's a good deal or a bad deal? Guru.
Man, you know what? It's hard to say, but like I've been saying for a while, man, these kids need to get some type of representation, right? You need a extra set of eyes, and I don't mean a parent. I mean a professional that's used to looking over sports related agreements, right? To make sure that well, hey, is what they're sliding me across the table, is it negotiable? Is it something that we should just take advantage now because it's that good, or should we go back and be like, hey, let's try to negotiate something a little bit, better because we feel like that we're worth that and can prove that, film wise or otherwise. So I wouldn't never just be where, hey, let the excitement of an opportunity overtake me without having the proper representation to take a look at it as well.
Now, does that need to happen in high school? Does that need to happen in junior high,
If money's
college?
involved, it don't matter the level. I don't care if it's pot one.
Okay,
It don't
$1,000.
matter the level.
Somebody. Okay. All right.
Hey,
All right.
a
So you.
stack's a stack. Look that over.
All right, all right. So you got that right there from the guru. So hey, let's get on to the special portion of the show, you guys, because once again, the locker room's about giving you guys what you need to take advantage. So we've got somebody on once again, a partner of Daymond's. He's a part of the TRPT brand management side of things. I'm excited to bring him on because I started doing the research and I'm like, oh, we need to have a show together it goes all night tonight because he's got the track record, you guys. He's worked with athletes for years. He's got a military background, and this is none other than the great Coach AJ. And this is our first time bringing all 4 people, so we're going to try to make sure we get the right screen here and for you. Coach AJ, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's a pleasure to see you, and thank you for taking the time tonight.
Yeah, likewise, man. I appreciate you guys for having me. Great conversation, great topics, great information for every parent, private coach, rising student athletes with offers, without offers, trying to get offers. You know, everything that was spoken about earlier was just on topic, on point, and people need to hear it because the landscape has evolved and transformed so fast that if you're not using another set of eyes, like Q mentioned, you know, ears and professionals that know what they're talking about, you're going to really drown. It's not even you're going to sink, but you're going to drown.
Facts.
Yeah, no, 100%, you guys. So, hey, this is a special portion of the Locker Room Show tonight. You guys are lucky to get this, especially you athletes and parents. We got a few questions for these gentlemen, and they're already helping athletes get money, you guys, and increase their brand. So, Daymond, I'll start off with you, man. We've obviously got our thing going on the NIL side, and that's more of a content-based company. But talk to me about why you decided to get in on the brand management side.
So what got me into the brand management side is I had a kid that I was working with for years since I've known him since 7th grade. Then I've trained him since high school through college. And, you know, he had opportunity to make a big splash at a school that was a lot bigger than he was at the current time. And he hit me up, you know what I mean, was like, hey, BP, you know, I trust you. I need some help. I need you to help me talk to these coaches, look over these contracts, see what they're offering as playing time, see what they're offering as far as, you know what I mean, carries, money, all that stuff. He's like, it's been a lot of guys that I've known, and not everybody I trust them. And I trust you. So I was like, bet, let's run it. So, you know, I started helping them, and I was like, man, like these kids do need this because this is a lot for, you know, even me to take on as far as just the conversations, talking about hours and hours and hours and hours, talking with coaches and trainers and other teams and just trying to get information. So when the kid's in school and he's training and he's still 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, whatever he is at that age, it's just overwhelming, right? It doesn't matter who you are. You know, the kid wants to be a kid, a lot of talk and jargons going on that they don't even understand, never heard of. So I was like, man, let me help. And then we were able to get a great, you know, deal done for our first kid. And it's crazy because, like I said, you have to be able to look over these things. You have to be able to negotiate. They came to us with a very, very large number. And we were like, that would be very great for the kid. But because I know what's going on in this space, I know how to negotiate. I know business in general. And I know what's going on your team personally. That number is not big enough for this kid, how you're talking about you want him. Mm-hmm. Okay. Added a significant amount more. Okay, thank you. We appreciate that. But we told you what we were looking for because we know what you got. Yeah. Okay, we got some more. Add another significant amount. We appreciate you. But we told you what we were looking for. And what all of the best negotiators have to, do know, and the people that want to know how to negotiate, you have to be willing to walk away from a deal. And we said, we appreciate you, but if that's what you have, we're willing to walk away and stay where we're at, ball out there and take our chances. Okay, well, that's all we had. Thank you. We'll see y'all. 4 days later, we got what you wanted. Oh, 4 days, we found it, right? So those are things, because if you just do that to the single mom, right, she gonna be looking at her son crazy, like, why are we not, we got bills, we got this, we're rich now, when you're not rich. Like, that's just more money than you had at the current moment. And that's not the going rate for what your son is. That's not the rate of an athlete of that caliber is. So once I seen that, I was like, there's definitely a space for this to happen, because I was there from step one all the way through the process. And I was like, I want to be able to help more athletes like this because they're going to get taken advantage of. And without people knowing, and without people like myself and AJ, because remember, we don't have our son or our daughter. So we're able to say, hey, no, what they offered you actually was good. You're not Jeremiah Smith, bro. Like, take that.
Yeah.
Or we're able to say, hey, they're lowballing you without the emotion, right? When your mom or your dad's negotiating and Ryan Day looks at the receiver and says, yes, you are coming to Ohio State, but you're not Jeremiah Smith. The parents going to take that as a slap in the face. Well, what you offering them for? Well, we'll go somewhere else. When it's like, bro, we're giving you a fair deal, but we're not giving you what the best receiver in the nation is getting. So there's emotion in those negotiations. That's why most guys in the NFL could actually do their own contracts, because a lot of stuff is like, hey, look what this guy did. I'm next man up. Woo woo woo. But like Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, it was getting weird for a minute, right? It's like, well, Lamar's not this. And he's like, well, I don't like y'all trade me. Well, that's right, because there's emotion when the agent isn't the buffer in between.
Right.
When we did it, it was easy. It was seamless for the kid. I was able to explain their side in a more clearer way. I was able to explain where the kid's coming from. I was able to look over stuff. We were able to add stuff to the contract for the kid in an easy way, in a manner that was good for both sides. So after we got done with that first contract, we were able to over double what their initial offer was, and everybody came out smiling. So,
AJ, what was it for you that made you say, "Hey, I want to get into the brand management side of things"?
Oh man, everything that he mentioned, but also like, we've been rocking for 10 plus years now, and we've always like tried to help athletes get in position on the recruitment side, and then we've seen the landscape of recruiting, training, preparing. We've seen the landscape shift so much, and we've seen other coaches and trainers get in the industry, but they've come and gone. But whereas him and I, we've literally adapted, we've elevated to stay a few steps ahead. And we saw like, okay, this gives us a chance to do what we've been doing all these years at a bigger scale, So now we're literally using all of our networking and adding more to our network to magnify the opportunities for all these athletes, because, like you guys mentioned earlier, recruiting back then is way different than now. Coaches used to hit the road heavy. Now they're like, we're going to recruit in this region only this offseason. We're not going to go here, because they can't see every kid no more. And of course, technology helps because kids can send their huddle link. But when you have somebody like DP and I, when we have coaches on text messages, we're like, hey, check my guy out. Let me know what you think. We think he's solid, but we want feedback. Like, it's not just a random email from a company blasting coaches hoping to get a bite. We're going to get a response. And then and their parents say, hey, you know what we know of you, but this is what they think. Let's go another route and get you the best possible opportunity versus going here and getting lowballed and or sitting on the bench. We want to maximize your opportunities to play, especially if you're a guy who was a national recruit and things might have went sour along the way and people are still waiting to see you evolve. Okay, they still remember you. Let's make them know that you're existing. Let's really brand you up with brand deals, creating these partnerships with these companies, whether small, medium, or large, because it takes nothing to email someone or pick up a call. And we've gotten so much traction through this so fast that it's a little scary, but it's exciting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just fun all the way around, because like I said, we've rocked for a long time. I was in New York doing my thing. He was in Texas. I moved to California, and I'm still doing things here and still have things on the East Coast going. So things are just progressively faster. And now when we're blending it into the middle, because eventually I will be down that way in Texas, and it's just going to be nuts what we're doing now and what's going to come the next 3 to 5 years, honestly.
That's big right there, you guys. Q, I know you had some questions too.
Oh, definitely. So from each of you guys, I'd like to hear, at what point should the parents start getting more serious in regards to NIL? Because we've seen, especially down here in Texas, man, you've seen kids, man, 6th, 7th grade. I've seen even younger than that, getting legitimate offers. And parents are, in most cases, are not prepared for that. So when do you think, like, hey, as a parent, we need to start getting serious?
Go ahead, AJ.
Okay, so I'm just gonna briefly touch on it because we even have a group chat for stuff like that with the parents now, and we have over 100 parents now. So we're teaching them along the way with their 6th, 7th, and 8th graders coming along. Teaching them how to brand their kid early so they understand, like, hey, that way you're gonna have leverage in 3 to 5 years when your kid is that dog getting recruited by all these SEC, ACC schools. So you have that element. But at the same time, the NIL component, you want to teach financial literacy. Like, okay, you want all this money, but is your kid prepared to handle all that? Are you as a family prepared to handle all that? Right. So here's a conversation we need to have. We have attorneys on deck for people to talk to learn about what to do with their finances. Nice. So it's a big thing, a big pill to swallow. But at the same time, we're not just helping them earn that valuation, but know what to do with it at the same time. So the age, like you said, Q, honestly, we want to start as early as 6th, 7th grade so they can start understanding these things, like what branding is truly about and how they earn that value that they really want when they see a Jeremiah Smith getting X amount of dollars or Williams at Alabama getting X amount of dollars by 17, 18. We want them to understand, like, this is what he did to get to that point. But now you can learn earlier versus later.
Gotcha.
Okay. DP, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you should. I think most parents, if you know your kid really wants to, play at a high level, you want to start getting serious about middle school, just so by the time they get good in high school, you've already kind of laid out a blueprint. There's a journey to follow. But I got parents in our group, they started their 6-year-old. So, Instagram and this and that. And I told them, there's no problem with it. You don't got to be serious then. But the bonus with that is you just started and created a story earlier, right? And the cool thing is think about it. When you go to Monday Night Football, they show them baby pictures and them peewee pictures all the time.
Yeah.
That's true.
So they go back and look at all that. So we're not telling you got to be the most serious, the pageant mom or this or that.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with putting your kids' highlights in your games and their pictures, as well as we talk about post their report cards. When you're on a family vacation, post that. So we're not just doing it sports. We're saying build the story, have fun with it, know what you're doing, and this is how you do it. Because there are kids like baby Gronk that's out here, regardless of what you think about how his dad is handling. You got kids like Blaze, who's been doing it since 7 years old out in Florida.
Yeah,
they got offers. I got a kid, Isaiah Derricott, who I've been posting about, and his dad sends me stuff to do for him like twice a year. He has offers now, and he's like 12 years old, but they've been posting since 7 and 8. Yeah. And now that obviously there's soft offers, but it's every parent in the U.S. would take a soft offer for their kid.
You're on the radar now. Yeah.
But it's from social media. It's not really the play of what they're doing in Pee Wee or middle school, because that's not enough competition. It's more of what they're seeing from their performance during the training and how they're growing as an athlete more than just the competition they're playing at their young level. And some of these kids are on the map very early. And when that kid now has blown up because he got an offer at 12, now he has 100,000 followers because he gets on overtime for getting an offer. Well, that deal that DP got, because I started grinding on social media at 15, is a $3,000 whatever deal. That kid that's been grinding since 7 got 100,000 because he got 100,000 on IG, 1 million on TikTok, and he's more valuable than me. I could be a better athlete, but he's more valuable to me to a company because he has a better following and a better audience. And and it's shown that he has a brand and they buy his stuff and he understands how to talk in front of the camera. And his dad understands, hey, this is how we promote. So whenever you want to start, you can start. It's no different than when do you get serious about your kid going to the NFL?
Yeah, that's
when the kid gets serious about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good point. Right. AJ, as far as next question, now I'm a kid and you guys, or maybe a parent, and you guys have sold me. I want to learn more. What's the best way to maybe scrub or find out who's legit, who's scamming? How do I find representation properly?
You want to have key questions to ask for sure. Because naturally, most parents are looking for that immediate return, right? So who do you guys work with? What companies are you partnered with?
Right.
Well, okay, I can be partnered with SoFi Stadium. That could happen, but I may not be. I may be partnered with ABC company, But look at our track record. Do your research on our background of who we are, what we've done, how long we've been in this industry, how long we've been working with athletes, the fact that we played sports at a high level, the fact that we're still very deeply involved in the industry and we talk to coaches. We go to camps and talk to coaches and connect with them. Little things like that, because a lot of these parents are going to fail to realize that their kid, let's say they are blowing up, right? They have 100,000 followers. They're getting these soft offers. A lot of agencies going to run to them because they're hot. We find kids that either reach out to us or we come across their pages through another athlete that we have that we know are going to eventually be that hot kid. And then we start talking to them. So we want parents to do the same thing. Like, pay attention to who's trying to be with your kid and represent them for what they are versus who they are.
Okay.
So that's a big deal. And for us, we build these relationships from ground up because we have athletes that go through our program since 6th, 7th grade, and they just keep going and going and going. So it's an easy conversation. And we have some guys now who are in the brand management component, they're brand athletes, and we allow them to make the decision on a business sense, not because we've worked with them for so many years. We allow them to do that. Like, hey, just don't do us a favor. Look at this contract. Look at this agreement. Let's talk about it. Make sure it makes sense for you guys and us from a business standpoint. So parents have to understand a lot of these companies, especially there's a lot of money out there, they're going to come running with the floodgates. Like, we've talked about it a few times, him and I, like, we're doing a lot of work now in the summer because in the fall, you're going to see a lot of high risers, high school, college, and agencies going to flood to them. We already have guys on deck ready, you know, so we're like, no, we already know who's going to be hot. We're not going to wait. And the athletes and parents appreciate that. They're like, oh, they believe in us already.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
Gotcha. DP, what do you think that parents and kids should look for? You know, I'm in the paper all the time. Now I got offers, and now this agency's calling me, but this is new to me. What should I be looking for?
You should be looking for people that you feel comfortable talking with, people that you can ask questions and they're going to give you straight answers, people that are going to sit down and say, no, I know we sent you the contract and you don't understand this, that, and other. You have questions. Well, we're going to sit down and talk to you about it for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it may take, instead of saying, well, if you don't like our contract, well, it's just not for you. Like, we want parents and athletes to say, oh, that's what that means. I like that. Or, okay, since that's what that means, I probably don't like that. We don't want to pull any fast ones on anybody. We sit down and explain everything. We got people that help us. We let them know, like, we're not in this to say, we talk to parents all the time. There's a part in our contract that says, hey, we want y'all to, you know, be able to give us the ability to basically give people the portions of the earnings that we make to bring in another attorney or a lawyer or accountant. And that's just showing them, when we read that part to them, they're like, well, what does that mean? Is that, hey, if you're the first kid that we get, and let's just say we got a basketball kid and we represent him, and he blows up from, let's just say we go to Iowa State. So it wasn't like, oh, you was a Duke kid, and you become Ace Bailey at number 4, and they're wanting to give you $100 million shoe deal. I want y'all to understand, we're not going to sit there by ourselves, me and AJ, and be like, yeah, we know what we're doing. We're going to say, hey, let's give somebody a piece of our pie, and let's go bring somebody that done did 20 shoe deals with Nike in here and say, hey, we already got the kid. We need you to sit down with us because we're good at these NIL contracts. We've done these one-off contracts. We've done a Fashion Nova deal, but we ain't did $100 million deal yet. So they like, oh, we actually like that. That we're like, yeah, we're willing to give a piece of our pie to make sure that you're protected better. You get more money. Even though we gave that, we'll all win more because we did it the right way. So we tell parents, like, we have stuff like that. So they're like, oh, okay, that's coming from y'all. Yeah, that ain't coming from the athlete. That's coming from us when we go outsource somebody that's better at than a portion of this contract or a deal that we haven't done. Or this is data rate. Hey, we can keep this percentage, AJ. No, let's cut it in half and let's go get somebody that didn't Gatorade. Now, the second time around, we've done it. We've looked over the contract. We know what it may look like. But that first time, let's make sure this kid is protected and he gets every bit or she gets every bit that they need. So when they see stuff like that, we took them. So I had another very large company that actually wanted to sign me and one of my kids. So what I did was I got the contract. And when we didn't sign, I knew their contract was great. I sent it to a lot of different lawyers. just some things that really handicapped the kid and took advantage of the kid. I think I was like, I'm taking that out. So we got our contract. We like how they worded that. Let's word it our own, but we need that type of paragraph in our stuff.
Right.
It was like, but let's not handicap these kids like they're doing. So when the parents look over our contract, they'll be like, can you add this clause? Can you do this time frame, blah, 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 whatever. But they're like, y'all's contract is very, very fair. We have no problem with that. We just would like this in ours or this and that. And then there's times when we're like, oh, bet we're actually going to add that to every new athlete's contract because we like that.
Right.
And then we're like, hey, that we can't do, but if we do it this way, that benefits company and athlete. So we're willing to work. We don't just have a cookie cutter deal like most people. Take it, leave it. We want all your money. And if you don't want to deal with us, well, don't deal with us. We're like, no, we like a kid. What can we do to make this comfortable for you all?
Right.
Oh, y'all want that? Oh, that's nothing. That's a word. That's not about to do anything. If that's a word or a sentence you want, that makes you feel more comfortable. This is what it already meant right there. But you want it written this way because you just read it better. Cool. Let's rock and roll. We're very, very lenient with parents on giving them a say and explaining why we can or can't do something in the contract just because of how it works.
Now hearing that from a parent standpoint, that has to make a parent feel good because it's been, and I've seen this, man. You know, I got a good friend, T, as you know, Jason Fletcher, one of the top NFL agents, in the league, been in the league 25 years now. But, he and I have had, conversations, man, and other agents I've had conversations with where there's been sometimes where an opportunity on the table, but like you said, DP, a lot of times out of greed, they'll be in a contract that they're not familiar with, especially the larger the contracts we're talking about, and you out in that deep water, and you'll end up leaving money on the table because you don't outsource a specialist that have, dealt with particular contracts. So, I mean, that if anybody, is hearing that parent-wise, that has to make you feel a lot more comfortable. Like, at minimum, these guys are about the kid. They're not about greed in any sense, and making sure that you're getting the maximum amount that your kid is worth, from top to bottom. So that's a very, very good thing to hear, man.
Yeah,
well,
100%.
To piggyback on that, Q, like a lot of the companies out there, they're taking a big percentage from these athletes. We're not. We're like, no, we're trying to really build you up. Yeah. So, you got to look at that too.
And we're doing it when some of these kids got 1,000 social media followers or less. So we're literally, what our thing is, it's literally not just, oh, you're Travis Hunter now. We got kids that we work with and we're like, hey, right now, we're just trying to get you product deals because that's all you're going to get. But we're also trying to show you got to post more, post your training, post your life, post these businesses in a certain way. And also, we present opportunities to the kids. We don't bring a contract or a product and say, this is what you're going to do. We brought stuff to certain kids in our brand, and 3 of them said, oh, yeah, I definitely want to do that. And the other 2 said, no, I don't want that deal. And we said, okay, we'll find something else and we'll keep on pushing. So we're not saying, oh, we found this, you got to do it. Hey, this is something we came across. They're willing to work with us. Do you want to do it? If they say no, we don't take no offense to that because you have to still take control of your brand as a kid, as an athlete, as an adult. Like, it's still your brand. So when we bring you something, you like, well, I just don't like that type of training gear, or I don't wear those type of shoes. That doesn't fit me. So I just don't. We salute you to that for being able to be 20 years old and say, no, I'm not just taking a free pair of shoes just to do it. So we do that.
The one thing is, man, that I find so interesting now, because it's so wide open, is parents and athletes that are listening don't have a closed mind in the least bit. And I'll give you a great example. And this is one of the illest opportunities I've ever heard. This is a few years ago when I heard a Florida kid, the coldest Crawford, right? And I'm like, first of all, everybody was tripping off the name. But when he got the air conditioner, I said, nice. So
somebody got creative.
Right, or Kool-Aid McKinstry. So it's like you have no idea where these opportunities can come from. So again, when you're working with a firm, like you a gentleman of development. That's the awesome part that I love is you never know where an opportunity will come from. It can literally just come from your name matching up with a company's product. And there you go. So don't ever be closed-minded like we're only honing in on shoes or only honing in on an athletic clothing company. Hell, you might be a high school kid or in junior high, and it might be a fruit snacks deal. Run it. If the numbers are runnable, run it. So keep an open mind in regards to these NIL opportunities because you'll never know what product you'll be associated with that makes sense and you can make a bet.
Yeah.
No, 100%, man. Q, you want to close us out with the last question?
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, everyone needs to know again, guys, how can everyone get a hold of you guys? And then just kind of bullet point a few services. You mentioned quite a few, but just bullet point a couple of services, that you guys offer in regards to like parents and athletes with you all's sports management firm.
So you can find me on Facebook at Daymond Patterson. And we also have the Raw Power team. You can find me on TikTok, IG, as well as Twitter as DP2Nice. And to be honest, we do branding, we do marketing, we train our athletes as well as our brand athletes. We set up their at-home care for their body. So we have massage services, we have physical therapists, we have chiropractors, we got places where we're getting them chiro. We do not only deals, but we're doing financial literacy. All of our guys, I believe to this point, except maybe one, and he just hit me up so we can try and finish this stuff. They have brokerage accounts. We're not trying to make get rich quick schemes. We're literally getting into, hey, let's just invest in the S&P 500. It's giving back 5, 8, 10, 12, 15% a year, depending on the year. We're not teaching them to go run up a bag with cousin Peanut and that's about to open up the barbecue spot. No, go put your money where it's safe. Do all that. So we're just trying to create a better person, and they just happen to be athletes. So we're not just sitting there like, oh, we're getting you deals. No, we're going to teach them branding, marketing. We're going to train them. We're going to do financial literacy. We're going to take care of them when they're at home, and we're going to teach them how to eat by themselves as well. If they're still doing this 20 years down the line, and because they're 15 right now, and they're 35 still playing, they'll be like, man, what I learned back then, I'm still applying to myself today.
Yeah. Nice. And I think because of that, man, when you do have kids that that do have that talent level, especially to be playing on Sundays, I believe we are gonna be seeing a trend of kids, man, where I don't need an agent. I've been doing this for 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm 23 and I've been learning about this. I've been doing this since I've been 9 or 10 years old. So it's like, yeah, I could get an agent, but it's like I've had so much education and repetitive opportunities with deals. Do I really need an agent at that point? And that's an awesome thing to be able to acquire those type of skills.
You're saying because they're getting to them young.
They're getting to him young, exactly, man. Like, yeah, T, if you think, come on, man. If you've been doing this, man, 10, 11 years old, right? And you've had NIL deals, man, early on, and even as early as middle school, high school, or whatnot. You're going all the way through college, man. By your rookie year, man, you ready to play on Sundays. Do you absolutely have to have an agent? I mean, you can.
Well, that's why they're saying, to learn,
exactly.
And they want
like
to
you said, and some guys that actually pay attention and take it serious, some of them will be able to do it. I would say most won't, because most guys are doing this while you're talking, right? But there will be some guys that, like, for me, if that was me and we were in this time, I would be one of those guys to be like, I paid attention to every last thing. That's why I was a guy that graduated at a 3.8 in high school when you only could get a 4.0. Now the kids can get a 6.0 with all these extra stuff they get them. But when you could only get a 4.0, I was 3.8. I graduated early at KU, so I was one of those guys that was really locked in. That's why I was able to transition right out of school and start my businesses. So there will be some guys that literally say, you know what, I really care about this, and there'll be a guy in the NFL actually representing other NFL guys.
And why?
It will happen.
And why not?
It will happen. because
Why not?
they locked in.
Yeah.
No,
That's dope.
100%,
That's dope.
gentlemen. So, hey, thank you guys so much for coming on tonight. If you guys are an athlete, and it's not just football, right, Damon?
No.
We got soccer. We got some baseball guys. We just were talking about lacrosse because they're opening up a league. Like, well, it's no different than the NIL LLC. Every
Yeah.
athlete needs representation once you get to a certain level. So we're not, it's men, women, boys, girls, every sport across the board. You can look, for TRPT brand management to be representing everybody, because if you're at a certain level, you need it. It doesn't matter what the sport is. You could be
Yeah.
doing, you know what I mean, playing pool. And if you're good enough at playing pool and they're giving out
Somebody's going to give you a deal.
NIL deals for it, which they are, right? You need somebody helping you. So that's what we're here to do, is
The
help any and
trainer,
everybody.
basketball trainer for the team.
The American guy, I actually followed him. He hit me up like he's a trainer for not Texas, not Ohio State, McNeese State.
McNeese.
And then he moved over to the other school, I believe, with the coach. But it got over $100,000 worth of deals in like a 2 weeks time during March Madness.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's an athletic trainer.
Wow.
Wow. There you guys
It's
go.
like
So
that.
he never would have thought. And he was probably playing catch up, but these gentlemen can help you out where you don't have to play catch up. At least get some information. So, Coach AJ, go ahead.
Also, like the athletes themselves, you have to remember it's a hotbed, right? Because you have but so many Caitlin Clarks and all these other athletes who are already on the spotlight. There are a lot more athletes that can build like a really strong brand and get these crazy deals without being so much in the limelight. And that's what we're trying to do as well, because we see some of these athletes who will end up playing in big time college football and Sundays one day. We see that already. They just don't know. They just don't know how to do it. So now we're here. We're going to help them, and like you said, just follow us, reach out. Coach AJ USA on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you don't get him, you get me, and you get both of us.
Facts.
That's
Good
big.
deal.
So,
Good
hey,
deal.
gentlemen, thank you. And keep up the great work, man. Keep killing it.
We appreciate y'all.
it.
Definitely.
All right, you guys. So, hey, that is Coach AJ, and that is DP. We're getting everything here, but appreciate you, gentlemen, coming on tonight. That was
that was
there.
dope. That was dope.
And we'll do that from time to time, Q, where we just want to give a little more game, take the show a little deeper, and and really make sure our audience is set, man.
Definitely, man. I mean, man, this is a show, man. This was essential.
It's a new day and age.
It is, man. Like you got this is sauce you have to have, man. It's so competitive and it's so many opportunities out there. You have to have this kind of sauce to be able to navigate this thing as a parent. You have to. There's no way around it, because you will get losses. God knows if you got a son that's a great athlete, man, you'll get lost in it in the snap of a finger.
All the parents throughout the years, man, that had dogs that were single parents or just didn't come from this industry, I think Adrian Peterson's dad was in jail when he was kind of going through his thing. He's worth millions.
Yeah.
Worth millions.
Yeah.
So very interesting times. Once again, you guys, just wanted to give you an extra love. Reach out to Daymond, reach out to Coach AJ. If you can't find them, reach out to us. We'll make sure we get you in contact. But college is pro now, and if you do things right, maybe even prep and youth levels is pro now, because a brand wants to do business with you. So we'll be talking more about this, you guys, but that is it for tonight's show. We got an amazing show set up for you next week. Every single Thursday, rock with us. No off season in the locker room. That's the guru. I'm Coach Wood. We'll see you at the top, baby.